Good morning, guys. So we're going to go ahead and do a mixed media page using Pink Paper Peppermint's newest kit. It's called Fresh Start. I just printed out a few pages and a little bit of the ephemera that they offer. This is a piece of tissue that I threw in here. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to just start, with my little junk journal. And like always, everything I do, I'm pretty heavy on the glue. You know that about me. I'm gonna grab a good gob of glue here, and I'm just gonna start really getting some glue on these pages, and just to kind of build up some background. And I think the first thing I want to do is, this is from their paper, I think it was Paper Birds Blue. Go ahead and glue this down. Now I'm going to tell you a little trick I have, and I've talked about it before. I always spray my printed papers, see how that doesn't run, with a sealant, an acrylic sealant, and it helps it not run as bad. I'm not saying it will prevent running, but it helps it not run. But right now, I'm just going to kind of grab some random little pieces of paper and glue them, I don't know, here and there, and we'll just see what to do and what feels right. That seems a little tall, doesn't it? I'm just going to start loading this page up. And the reason I do these in real time, my husband asked me the other day, he was like, do people do that? Because he thought, it was kind of a long video, but I like real-time videos because you can see the person's thought process. You can see decisions that they're making. You can see how they're flipping paper around and trying it out, auditioning the paper in different areas. Now see, when I sealed that one, I didn't seal it quite right, so the color ran a little bit, but I'm okay with that. But anyway, that's why I like the real-time videos. I do realize it's kind of hard to hear me sometimes. I listened to one the other day after I'd done it, and I played it on the TV to see how the sound quality was, and realized I'm a pretty difficult person to hear. So I don't know if I need to buy a microphone. I don't know if I just need to speak up. I don't know. I haven't figured that one out yet. But I'm going to go ahead and try. I was going to fill this page in, but I don't think I am. I have this tissue here that I had put gold ink on a while ago, and just making some extra fodder to have around. And I love painted tissue and writing on tissue. I'm just gonna glue that little guy down right here. I still have a good amount of white space, but I do feel like I should have sealed this a little bit better before I started. That way I didn't have to fill up all the space. So I'm gonna put some clear gesso here, and that will just help the colors not bleed through when I start adding paints or markers. And also it gives a good tooth to the page and adds some stability. I'm gonna pause for a moment. Okay, so I took a little brief pause there while I put some gesso on and dried it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to glue myself to the book. Apparently I'm going to glue myself to the book. I'm gonna go ahead and rip this page off here. And I'm gonna build up a few more layers. One of my favorite things are these doilies, and I know everybody does doilies, but I just think they're cute. And I think they're one of those things that remind me of when I was a little girl. I had a really good friend who was a baker, and she would make the most beautiful cakes. And she always had doilies. And we would also go to her house on Halloween, and she had these little trick-or-treat bags that she would hand out. And I just could not wait to go to Marilyn's house because I was gonna get a really good trick-or-treat bag. And usually, I didn't realize at the time that she was making particular trick-or-treat bags for like me. I just thought she was just making these great bags for every kid in the neighborhood. They always had personalized pencils in them. They always had a little packet of pencils with my full name. Oh my gosh, it was so exciting to have a pencil that had my complete name on it. And I don't know, I guess in my mind, I thought she did this for all the kids. But thinking back, there's no way she gave every single kid in the neighborhood a 12-pack of personalized pencils. So they were probably something she just did for our family because we were really good friends, and I didn't realize it. So anyway, I've got a good amount of paper down here. And now what I want to do is I'm going to go ahead and pick up some paints. Now I have some different color paints over here that I have gathered together. I've lost the tool I'm looking for. Oh, it's right here. Oh, look at that. And these paints match the papers, but I haven't necessarily put down all of these colors. So anyway, I'm going to start with some blue, and I just kind of want it, I don't want really exact lines. I'm just kind of doing some rough work with a palette knife here. I do try to keep things moving in the same direction. I do not always do that. Like here, I'll pull it off, but then I'm going to kind of brush it back up. I just feel like it works a little bit better. And then I'm also going to always look and see where my eye is being drawn, which is right here. So we want to kind of make sure that we're working to, I don't know. I feel like I need to work to pull my eye in that direction. I want to see what I'm working toward. And it's probably just a strange little thing I have that doesn't make sense to most people. But it makes sense to me. That's what matters, right? As long as it makes sense to you. So I've got some paper. I've got some kind of goopy paints laying down on here. And I can still see the little collection of paper here from the Fresh Start kit. All right. All right, so I let the dogs back in. So what I want to do now is I want to dry brush over this. The brush I generally use for dry brushing, I accidentally left in water all night long last night. It's a little chunky brush. So I bought this brush a while back, and I know it's weird, but we're just going to kind of, all I'm really wanting to do is kind of lightly throw some white on here to kind of lighten it up. Wow, I like that other brush I use a lot better, but honestly, you know what? The look is about the same. It's just the feel. This is such a heavy brush. I think it was for stippling, but it's such a heavy duty brush that it's just not my favorite thing. But you know what? I spent money on it, and I like to get my money's worth, so I will use it until I hate it even more. So I'm just going to kind of put some white dry brushing on here. So this is my mixed media page so far. And like I said, I'm using some papers from the Fresh Start kit. I'm also going to make it work with my style of junk journaling, which is to say super messy. One of my friends says it's a mixed media fest. She had this little tag, was a piece of ephemera, and then here's a few different pieces that I've just cut out, some pieces and some pieces of paper. Not really sure what my plans are I just want to put a little bit down. Maybe have a little, I don't know. I don't know what I want. I really don't. So, let's see if I can take this little piece of rose paper here. And maybe I could just make like a little cluster. And cut off the edges of the printer leaves. I hate those edges. Maybe I can do a little cluster like this. I'm very stuck on this bird. I just think it's very, very sweet. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think that's where I'm gonna go. That's the direction I'm gonna head. So I'm gonna darken up my edges. Just like a little blender, ink blender. I'm gonna go around the edges like this. Or alternatively, you can kind of work your way here. And you know what, I don't mind. Like sometimes I'll use my book itself as my base because the truth is I want it to look old and I want it to look used, and it just adds, to me, it adds to the page a lot. I don't want everything perfect. So anyway, so that, she's a lot sweeter now. She's very, very dark piece of paper though. This one's a lot brighter. I'm going dark. So I'm gonna go ahead. I'm gonna just layer a couple little pieces of paper with this pen. And I want them to pop. I want you to get a feel of what the paper is here. But I might kind of put this guy here. And I'm not sure if I'm going to glue him down all the way or if I'm just going to make a cluster and keep him kind of loose. I think, you know, just because of what I'm wanting to do, I'm going to do more of a heavy glue. So I'm going to take the blue. And you know, I say this every single time. Don't be afraid. It's just paper. It's not going to hurt. You do something you don't like, guess what? You can redo it. It's not that big of a deal. I do try to keep my paper kind of going in a similar direction. I think it helps with the continuity of the page. I learned that from Cassia Avery in a class that she taught. And I probably said her name completely wrong, but I'm okay with that because it's how we learn, right? Cassia Avery does Everything Art UK. That's her her Instagram handle, and likely her YouTube handle. So anyway, I'm gonna kind of glue this little guy down. Hold him here for a second while he adheres a little bit better. He does seem a little dark for this page. I know I already said that once, but I'm reiterating it and I'm trying to think what I can do. So I'm going to pick up some of that white with that brush that I hate so much, and I'm going to kind of bring him into the page. This is so sweet. I mean, look, there's a little snowfall. It's so sweet. Anyway, I'm going to try to bring him into the page a little bit. So that's not too bad. So I could pile up more ephemera. I do that, just kind of depending on what look you're going for. I have these little tickets here. I think I'm just gonna, I perforated them myself. I'm trying to decide the best thing to do. I'll probably just put him down here. And yes, I refer to them all as him and her. I don't know why. I'm gonna hold that there for a little bit of support. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is I would go ahead and I would grab a stencil. So I'm gonna go through my stencils really quick, just to get an idea. Kind of fill up the page a little bit, and so I'm gonna go ahead and use this mandala. I don't say anything right, so I'll go ahead and use this. But one thing with stencils, I don't like to use them in completeness. I don't do the entire stencil. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of stipple lightly. Gosh, this brush is terrible. I really don't like this brush. Anyway, so I want the feel of something being here, but it doesn't have to be there. I don't know if that makes sense. It makes sense to me, but may not be translating very well. You know, I have a way better stencil brush right here, which kind of soften it up a little bit. Some pink. This is a Lowe's project brush, and I don't remember what on earth project I bought it for, but it made its way to my art supplies. Okay, so I've got that lightly stenciled in here. I'll lift that up. Oh, hopefully I didn't glue it down. Okay, so you can see there's just a light little bit of stencil showing up there. And then I'm just gonna kind of clean my brush off around the edges. Okay, so here's our page. All right, so he's all dry now. So I want to put a quote on, and I have to decide, do I want good handwriting? Do I want a little messier handwriting? I think I'm going with messy. Sometimes I'll use kind of a line to follow it. It changes, to me, it changes the whole look of the page. I am going to pick up some India ink, and I think I'm just going to write kind of sloppy. I'm going to hold my brush straight up and down. Give. I don't hold my brush tight because I want it to be a little bit sloppy. Unfortunately, I'm also a bit of a control freak, I think, because I can't let anything be too sloppy, and then I'm never happy because it's never turn out the way I want. But it's okay. You know what? It's okay. Because this is my kind of messy-ish handwriting. And give me shelter. Now, I do love marks. So I'm going to go ahead and put some little black marks over here using the India ink again. And up in here, kind of tie it together. And I'm looking for the balance. And that, my friends, is my page. Thank you for joining me.